There she is. Developer. Oop.
Mr. so much.
She's so nice. So for this one, of course, we need extra data, right? We need more things here. So again, sanity check. What's the annotation for the first item we need? That's right, but it muted, so no one heard him, which is good.
What happened? So path variable?
What's that?
Path variable? Path
Yep.
variable?
First one's the path variable, yep. That's where we know which item we want to update. We need something else too. What else do we need? Oh, if somebody said something, I just realized my headphones had died. Hold on. God dang it. Try that again. I can hear again. So what else do we need?
With what we're going to update it with.
Yeah, and where does that go? Where is that data coming from? What part of the system? There's two other locations we can get data. We've already on the path variable. There's two other locations data can be sent via HTTP request. What are they?
The body.
The body, right? And just for sanity check, what's the other one?
The header. Or
Path variable. No.
Yep, it's right there. Path param. Remember the query commands?
Yeah.
Queries. Yep. So we're definitely not going to be sending the updated data through the URL, the path params. So we're going to go ahead and use request body. And that's going to be in the format of a developer. We'll map it to the developer object and call it updates. All right. The first thing
Path
you do
param is strictly URL.
it's the URL query parameters. That's that
Yeah.
question mark key
Yeah.
equals value and key equals value and key equals value. Yep, that one. You have to follow. For this one, we're going to do developer updates. And so for this, how we got to do this, and I do need to look a little deeper into the race conditions for this version of doing it. So I'm concerned that if you try to send two updates at the same time to the same one, that's a chance that these could suffer from race conditioning, where updates in one may override the other one and they might not, they won't stick or they'll fight for each other and what actually gets saved. So this is something I'm not sure of, and I'm not sure, I have to look deeper into how JPA handles concurrency and race conditions with puts. Because what we got to do first is we have to get the developer. So first we have to do developer equals repository dot find by ID. So we want to pull the item we're updating. That one. That one. And again, we know that why is this upset with us? What's this wrong? What's wrong with this? Let me give you the error message. Just thinking about it logically. If we search for something and somebody gives us an ID number, what's the potential problem?
Unfair.
Not exist.
All right, yeah, it might not be there, right? That ID might be an invalid ID. This could be simply that they're being malicious, or it could just be they're looking for something that has long been deleted. They have an old favorite, an old shortcut that they have. Just hell, for me, an example, I have this shortcut to Classroom that tries to load a certain classroom that existed. Not there anymore. So I'm not doing anything malicious. I saved a bookmark with an ID for a classroom that no longer exists because we archived it or deleted it. It's an old classroom, probably cohort 2 or 3, probably. So it's not always malicious. So in this case, again, we have that or else throw command. Go ahead and do a new what? You remember what it is?
Response.
Yep. It's literally right there. Response
Helps that it's the
status
first
accepted.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I didn't expect that. We got our HTTP status not found. So you got that one. I am going to show another variation of this whole system again on the next entity we create to showcase how we can also just make sure we send back a response entity that includes data as well as an HTTP status code at all times. Because right now, up here in this post, we really technically should be sending back 201 created, right? We should not be sending back just 200. It's fine, but if we want to behave and really give back the perfect status codes or the right status codes every time, in this situation, we would want to return 201 along with the new data. So later on, I'm going to show you guys how we can do that, where we're going to change from response body and sending back that item. We're going to change it to response entity, an actual class, and that will take a object and a status code. That'll come in a little bit. So anyway, we have our existing developer, and as long as we hit line 39, what does that tell us? We hit line 39, what does that mean?
On the ID,
What's that?
it's a valid ID when we,
Right, we have a developer. Because remember, even though we don't see return in this line here anywhere, we also want to recognize as Java developers this concept of throwing. Throwing is another concept or way to break out of a method and go back to the parent method. It's throw exception. So we're throwing an exception, and that ends a method as well. So Java has this new additional way of ending a method calling throws exceptions. So you got that.
I'm curious that the Lambda expressions, was that just like a total coincidence that they look so similar to the what is it, ES6?
ES6? Not at all. This has been a common practice for a while now, this concept of arrows and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Mind.
JavaScript copied from others.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And good job using the term Lambda expression. Yep. A lot of people just name these nameless functions, but again, we got to remember that Java doesn't have functions, so we can't really call it a nameless function, even though that's what they're called in JavaScript. These are actually in all languages, including JavaScript, called Lambda expressions. So that is the technical full term of art for that. Actually, that's one of those things I keep wanting to look up why they're called Lambda. I just forget to. So anyway, so we got that. So now we have a valid new developer or valid existing developer. What we want to do is we want to update this object with the new data. And so there's some situations we want to discuss in this. So I showed last time this concept of checking each field to see if it's null or not, and then updating it with the new information. I will say that there is a concept known as a update practice, where the update practice is to never send null unless you intend to send null, unless you intend to nullify. You always start with the existing object and then send new data over. If the data is going to stay the same, you keep the same data. And so you should never, if you want to not change something, you should be providing the existing data. Meaning if you want to keep the name the same, this developer updates.name should have the original name. That makes sense? So that's one way of doing updates. More modern systems are okay with sending partial objects, and newer modern languages like JavaScript and stuff like that can handle that. However, Java, since it's been around so long, doesn't have that built into JPA. Again, we would have to build in that logic and that capability to say, hey, every single field we have to check, is this field in updates null? If it is, don't set it. So there's two ways we can do this. One, we can just assume that updates is going to include existing data if it's not meant to update, or new data if it's meant to update. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to go through this. We just have to developer dot set name is equal to updates dot get name. That's it. We have to go through each field one by one. This is where I meant to. This is why I said, like JavaScript, some of you got a little bit of the convenience that there was a find by ID and update. My headphones acting up. You guys can hear me fine.
It's fine.
Okay, cool. Because I'm hearing something in my ears. And
Test.
you're good, Freddie. I was just hearing something in my ears, so I wasn't sure if my headphones were crackling or not. They were sounded like they were disconnecting, which was weird. Anyway, as long as you guys can hear me, I'm good. So yeah, developer set name, updates.get name. Like I said, JavaScript has that concept of find by ID and update, which you can give the ID and then the update object. And then we'll go ahead and go through and only update those fields that were provided. What I will say, by the way, just to clarify, is that you could create other like child objects or sub objects that have the same fields, but not all of them. So you could create different income items or incoming items so that you could make sure you don't have nulls. But even then, there's just you have to go through key by key. So just be aware of that.
So if you got a big object, you just have to go through each one of them.
Yeah, unfortunately right there. There might be, again, I'm trying to find another package or another way to do this easier, but the base stuff that we have with no additional dependencies, I haven't been able to find anything built into JPA by default.
Right,
There
right.
is no find by ID and update system built into JPA by default. You could probably build something, but it's beyond the scope of the lessons. So if you can find a way to create or
Generate,
merge two objects together, if you could create some sort of merging method that would take two objects that are identical and merge them, only the items that are not null, merge those keys together and replace non-nulls and ignore nulls. That would be a very nice method to create. And then you could use that in almost any repository, because you could just
The only
add it to the
thing I could-
repository.
the only thing that will do it will be the iterator, because you can just say has next, so it would actually go through them, but
Yeah.
you know, that would be the only thing I could think of off the top of my head, but anyhow.
Yep. I haven't found anything really nice yet. Nothing that I feel like is something you would actually use. So,
Yeah, this sounds like a pain in the butt. Anyways.
oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times, like, no, there's nothing really to make this easy, but yeah. Otherwise, the only other thing you could do, though, is like I said, I will say that the one thing you could do, if you decided to set it up whereas the updates will always contain the new data as well as the existing data, you could just do and then you can save that object. You could save updates instead of developer, and that way you have the new item. Does that make sense? So you could do that. We then do repository.save like that. So that's one thing we could do. But again, the key there is you have to make sure that updates includes all fields, and it includes all the new, even fields that are not modifying, they have to have the existing data. Now, a lot of times, yes, usually in a front end system, it might make sense to show the profile as is, and as the user types new things, update the data, and then when they hit submit, send everything. Some systems try to save bandwidth by only sending the updated information, the new information, but not sending the whole object. So something to keep in mind. If you decide to go the other way, like I said, we have everything we need. What did I just do? I just wanted to comment those out for a minute. There we go. Weird.
Oh, so interesting. So you have set IDs set up in your developer?
Yes, with the auto generate and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I commented it out and I was using so the reason I asked, because I couldn't do what you were just doing, the updates.set ID. And it was because mine is commented out.
No, we do want the set and get. Yep.
All right, tell Freddie that.
Freddie, set is the getters for everything. I was gonna say, if you turn
just
off
don't
the
use the
setter and the
setter.
getter, then it shouldn't work at all, because
No,
when you,
yeah,
in
The
the
setter
post-
works.
the
It does work,
set,
I just take out the setter.
yeah,
you
we don't
should-
need the setter for these,
you
which
do.
is odd.
I thought you did for the post, because the post uses the setter, like the
I've been
repository
No,
doing
uses
it
the set ID.
always without the setter.
Yeah, we did it without.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. Test that, 'cause I thought the save method uses it. Not save, yeah, the save on the new developer uses it when it creates a item that doesn't exist yet. Interesting. What was that? Well, I'm using it now, so no, I'm not using it right now, so
All right.
it's fine. I put it in because it's good to have. Anyway. So updates dot get name now equal to null. So this is the way you would do it if you aren't going to confirm, or you're only going to send the new data. So if you're only going to send the new data, you have to test. Otherwise, yeah, it'll overwrite.
Ah.
Cohort email. Leaves.
Oh,
These. Yep. And last but not least, we simply do return. How's it do that? All right. Save. Updates. And so what happens here, if we do a save of an item that doesn't have an ID, it creates a new one. If we save with something that has an ID, it overwrites the existing. Sound good? So one of the things you do need to be saved. Now, here's what I was mentioning when I mentioned race conditions. And whenever I say race conditions, is that concept of you have imagine two requests and they're racing to finish. Now, in a simple system like this, where we have one server running, they'll 9 times out of 10, 2 requests coming in, request A will get processed first, then request B will get processed second, and they'll finish in order. And the end result will be request B is the one that is finalized. So request B, the one that came in secondary, is the one that's last, and that's what we should expect on the database. In a race condition setting, though, in a more complex system, you can have multiple instances. Anyone, especially that took place in the OpenShift system, we talked about pods and instances, right? How you can spin up multiple servers of the same application. And what that does, and again, let's see if any of the OpenShift, let's see who's here was at the hackathon. Not that many here, actually, unfortunately. Travis, Eridan, Cullen was here. Yep, Freddie. Never mind, actually, we got a decent number here. Okay, we'll try it. Does anyone remember why do we care about having multiple pods for an application? When we want to spin up multiple pods or multiple instances of the same server, what does that do for us? And even non-hackathon people, if you know why we do it, go ahead and vouch for it. Give me an idea of why we do that.
If one of them crashes, you'll have other ones to pull data from.
That's one reason. Yep, that's one way we can do it. If one of the pods crashes, it's still another pod. Why else would we want to spin up multiple versions of the same application?
To be able to hold multiple people, like massive amount of people, not to overload the server.
Do you know what that concept's called?
Concurrent.
Yeah,
Like load balancing, I think.
it's 2
Balancing.
words. What's that?
Balancing something balancing.
That's the second
Load
word.
balance.
Yeah.
Load
Load
balance.
balance.
There
Load
it is. Keep got it. Yep. Load balancing. Yep. It's the concept of load balancing. So imagine, you got one server up running your website, and all of a sudden you decide to put out an ad saying, hey, we're doing a 50% off promotion. And all of a sudden 5,000 people start hitting your website at the same time. What's going to happen to that poor little server?
It's gonna go down.
It's going to drown. Like, kill me. Poor little thing. And so what we do, yes, we spin up multiple instances. So we have multiple pods handling those. Instead of having 5,000 requests being handled by one, we could have 2 servers each handling 2,500 each, or 4 servers, or even 5 instances running 1,000 requests each. And that is more manageable. But now we take that scenario I gave, we have 2 requests to update the same item coming in at the same time, and one gets routed to instance A and one gets routed to instance, let's say C. Let's say that A came in first, but A's server, the one it got routed to, is, let's say it's handling at 80, it's at a 75% load. And then server C, though, we're kind of in the tail end of our rush. And so that server is only sitting at like a 20% load. So even though request B came in later, there's a possibility that request B could finish earlier, meaning that B will save its changes to the database, but then A will save after chronologically, even though the request came in before chronologically. And that means A's changes will actually be the ones that persist in the database. And that's the concept of race conditions and things like that. So that's what you want to be careful of. Between the time that I get it and the time that I save it, as these lines run, another save could occur, which means that the data I'm working with is obsolete. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah.
on line 46, do you want to be saving the updates or do you want to be saving the developer?
Developer.
Ah, thank you.
Was waiting for him to finish so I could point that out, Mike. You beat me to it.
Well, I thought he was like explaining like why he was doing that. And
Nope,
I
I
was trying to wrap
wasn't.
my head around
Nope.
that, but I was like, let him finish.
I just
Yeah.
typed wrong. I appreciate you letting me finish yet. Got a problem, but I'll let you finish first.
Yeah.
That is good peer programming. You want to always do that. Let the person finish in case, yeah, they notice that they did something wrong or they had a reason for doing it the way they're doing. That's perfect peer programming there. But yeah, no, that's the idea of race conditioning. That's what something I want to look into, make sure that it's clear, because yeah, in bigger systems and more complicated systems, that can be a problem, especially when you deal with things that are such as lists. Those can get problematic. Anyway, yeah, something to look into. Again, I need to figure out what other methods. I know Java has them. I just, again, with the base JPA, I don't know if there's anything built in. There's probably a dependency that we can add that might handle it. But anyway, if anyone does find out, by the way, figure it out yourself, go for it. Hackathon day, there's things to look into. Anyway, that's our post. That's our put. That's our put. That's our updater. Before we go ahead and do that, let's create one more. The easy one. This one, we're gonna go back to being easy. What's the last action we need? We think about CRUD.
Destroy.
Destroy. And what is our HTTP verb for that? Someone else. Matt is right again. I like how he's muted though.
I'm just not. I'm not saying it out loud. That's all.
Yeah, okay. I don't care how he's
Delete.
working. You're just there. It is. Yep. Delete. Delete mapping. Same thing. We can do the /ID again. Very a little bit repetitive, which is nice. We have this one route that does all these things. We have one route to get one, update one, and delete one. So 3 actually, sorry.
Hey, look, I just noticed on line 35 you don't have curly brackets around ID.
Oh, that's gonna cause a problem. Thank you. Boop. That would just be the string ID. So yep, that would have caused a problem later. Public. And so this one, I'm actually going to introduce you to the response entity, because this one we want to send back okay with no data. We want to send back the 200, just HTTP status, all good. So I want to introduce you to that. Entity. So response entity, though, does need an object to give, or some sort of object to send with it. And we're going to say we're going to send back developer. We're really just going to send null. Otherwise, we'll send back we could always just send back what was deleted. We could send them what we deleted in case they want to get it before it deleted so they can see what they deleted. It's an option, but for this one, we're going to send null. Anyway. No, actually, we can send back a message. We'll do string. There we go. We'll do that. Destroy developer. I get the common long ID path variable. And this one, fairly straightforward. We're just going to do repository dot delete by ID. Careful to delete all. We don't want to delete all. If you want to wipe your database, your table clean, it'll kill out the table. But ID. And this one again, we don't care if it actually got it or not. We don't need to send a 404 if they're trying to delete something that doesn't exist. We'll just say it was deleted. It's fine. And then all I'm going to do is do return new response entity. I'm going to do null. Oh, no, sorry, string. I'm going to send back. Oh no, status first, right? Sorry. HTTP. Oh no, never mind. Wait, hold on. I believe it's object first, then HTTP status. Yep. So first, we'll send back the string. HTTP status. Okay. Nope. There we go. And that is it. So this is the body that it's going to take. Would you give it a string? Oop. I don't know how I did that. That's the body of the response, and that'll usually include your object. And this is the status code you're going to send back. Now, yes, by default, you almost always send OK, but this is we can make sure we send whatever status code we want. So now, 5-minute challenge, quick challenge. How do we update our post mapping to make sure we can send back 201 or created? Where do I need to make changes here?
Cliff,
Yep.
Oh,
just a minor aesthetic change. Line 37 is not update employee. It would be updating a developer.
Thank you. When did I type?
I know it doesn't difference, but it just saying.
I don't even realize how I did that. What the hell? So I just copied my notes blindly. Weird. All right, cool. All right, whatever. Sure. Anyway, back to this. So how do I what's the first thing we need to change here?
Would you change that to a response entity as well?
No longer doing response body, we're going to do a response entity. And we're just going to wrap that term developer in the brackets.
Oh,
So that's the first thing we do. And then right here, we're actually going to create that new, on the return line, we can create that new response entity. First thing we're going to send back is that repository.save new developer, because that's going to give us the new developer that was created.
oh,
Comma.
we can save it there. That's cool.
Thank you, Matt. And here we're just going to do HTTP status dot created. And note how these are all capitalized. I really wanted to show these because it confirmed what I did in the previous challenges where all of our static items were capitalized. These are all static values that are one thing, nothing else. So they're all, as you can see, they're all capitalized. So I'm not crazy. I am teaching you the accurate items. It'll be a little crazy, but not in this. I also do like how both Elaine and Jim are both away, but yet not.
Oh, I forgot to undo me away.
Thinking about it.
Sorry.
I gave them time. I noticed that they both did leave when they put it on, and when they came back, and I'm waiting. I'm like, how long is it gonna go? When do I call them out on it?
Well, I'm always away, so you don't have to worry about that.
That's a great message. I literally have Git right here that I'm using it.
Yeah, but you don't though, obviously.
Of course not. Sure. Anyway, so yeah, this is it. And now we can send back that created command. So now let's test these. Let's make sure all these all work.
Oh, right.
So I'm gonna run it. I'm already running, so let's click the rerun. Did I keep that running from yesterday or Tuesday? I probably keep that running from Tuesday. Damn. All right, sure. We got our 8080 up and running. Let's go ahead and open up our Postman. Routers.
Oh.
Host. Yeah. I found, of course, because I need to do API/developers. Yeah, I even added myself in there just to test some things. You see that both my email and languages are empty, so I should probably update that and actually give myself an email and language. But first off, let's do the easier one. Let's do a quick post, add a new one, just so we can make sure that 201 works. Raw JSON, don't forget to do that. Who's joining the system now? Who's next?
I'll go in because I wasn't around last class really.
Nice. Matt. Not the fun part. Oh no, never mind. You guys, we don't have the role this time, so no one has to do your role. But what cohort are you in?
12.
Curious, you're gonna say something different.
It's the only place you want to be.
What languages are we gonna put for you? JS
Basic.
again?
JavaScript,
Basic.
Java, and Commodore Basic.
There you go.
comma. Commodore, right?
COMMODORE.
And then okay. Commodore Basic. That is it. Okay. Commodore Basic. There we go. We'll send that in.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks good. No nulls. You're number 5. So we go back to get. We'll see.
Oh.
You identified it. There you are.
hey, nice.
Awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and update me. So I'm going to go ahead and update number 3. No, number 4. Number 4. Wait, why is there 2 of them? I'm
Let's do that.
concerned.
Email. cohort.
An extra in there. I don't want that. So 4. Shouldn't be creating a new one. That was on our test. I think I thought I did the save. No, I should have checked one more thing actually. Hold on. Yeah, but there is no update. I thought so. Okay. This is what I had researched on my own. It was the save after you do all this. Okay, we'll find out if it creates if it creates a number 6 of me, then we'll know that we have a problem. So we'll go ahead and test out our null system since we did that. We don't need to update the name or the email. Oh, no, email I need to update because my email is blank. So I need to put click 2 at test. The cohort will make that number 4 now. We'll go from 3 to 4. The languages, I'm not going to put all of them. So that might take a little while, but JS, Java, C, Python, and that'll be enough. We'll just put those for now. Let's go ahead and do, we got put, developers ID, send. It says ID 4, good, okay. Got nervous for a second, I was gonna not do that, but let's see, we got ID 4, name, email, cohort, language, perfect. That all looks fine. We go back to the get now, and we get number 4. We see that my data is there. If we go back to get all, just confirm that a new one doesn't exist, a new one does not exist, and cliff 4 no longer has 2 empty spots. Put up, it works. I am not sure how I made it. Did I accidentally hit the post twice? I probably did that. I probably posted twice on my testing. Fun. Anyway, all works. Let's go ahead and delete this extra cliff right here. So now, actually, this worked out perfectly. I have an extra person I can delete. We can go ahead and get rid of the imposter cliff that doesn't know any languages, because if that's the case, then what the hell am I doing here?
I knew it.
He knew it from the beginning. I'm an imposter. I've just been following a script the whole time. Again, switch our verb to delete now. I'm going to go ahead and put the ID we want to delete, number 3. We go ahead and hit send. We'll see our 200 okay. So we want it, and we got our string deleted. And I don't know if you guys realized it, but I totally forgot to show that the we got the 201. So we're going to do another post actually. So
Yeah, we never saw
who
it.
else is joining in? Add one more person.
I can go.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We'll do that. Like it. I like the, I'll go. I was just hitting the same kind of enthusiasm.
Why the hell not?
What language are we putting in, Sergio?
We're putting JavaScript and Java. That's it. Spanish. Yeah, there you go.
Spanish.
We'll have some fun with that one.
Spanglish.
We'll have some fun.
I code in Spanish.
There you go. We got our language, and look at that, 201 created. So we get the status codes we want. This really, with these 5 requests, you can do most of the things you need. We want to do one more thing though. It's kind of nice what we have right now. What we have is pretty nice. I can get all these users, but taking a look at this data here, is there any other way I might want to get a bunch of people?
You mean specific users, but more than one?
Yeah, but like, I want
Okay.
to be
All
filtered.
the Java people.
Could do that. That was a more complicated one. I was gonna get to that one right away. Jeez.
By multiple
want to
IDs,
update
you're
Jim, by
thinking?
the way.
So,
All the
like,
cohort people.
Right, all the people from cohort 12 maybe, or cohort. I'm gonna move Jim to 11 quick.
oh, okay.
So that way we have another part we can do. We can kind of make sure we get like me and Jim aren't included, but cohort 12, all three of them are included. So update Jim to be cohort 11. And it's 1, yep, 1. Good. There we go. So get all. So we probably would want to do something where we can do developer slash cohort slash 12, right? And get all cohort 12 developers, right? That makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, we want to do that. So in this case, the main reason why I didn't want to do the languages because we kind of didn't set any sort of objects with them, so they're inconsistent per se. I've tried to be persistent because I'm the one typing it in, but in a real system, there's no guarantee that Java wouldn't have a capital J in someone or JS wouldn't be capitalized. I've been doing it, so I've been being very careful to make sure I'm typing them all the same way. Normally how we would do this is we would do a one-to-many relationship and we would have a many-to-many relationship where we would have the languages in a database itself where JavaScript would be in the database. It would be a selectable item from like a drop-down menu or a, like a drop-down menu or from like a multi-select menu where you could check off the ones you know. And that way we would know that we have this consistent way of searching. So something that we'll be doing next week. But for now, let's go ahead and we'll do my name.
Spell check on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could also do some programming where we remove all spaces or replace spaces with dashes and one dash. We go lowercase and everything, all that kind of stuff. We could definitely do some formatting to make sure that we get the consistency we want. Let's go ahead and do this for now, though. So yeah, we want to do this. We want that. So I want to do another get mapping. I'm going to move that up though, so we can have all the gets together. So, which I meant to do that. I thought I moved this. Move you. The reads, the creates, the updates, and the destroys are together. Now in this case, I'm going to do a get mapping. Ooh, cohort. I want to do something. I'm going to do something on purpose. So here's a quick question. How will our system know to use this mapping instead of trying to read cohort as an ID? Or is that going to be a potential problem?
Is it the other backslash?
Yes, but no. It's there. No, because technically it could try to still trigger this and that because of the ID, because it's the first string. The second slash could definitely help. And JPA might actually be okay with this because of the second slash. What I will say though is that you usually want your ones that are doing variables at the bottom because you want this to trigger first, because if it says cohort, you don't want cohort to accidentally trigger as an ID. What happens is what this does is it doesn't actually try to say, oh, if the ID is a long, I can accept this path. What it does is it just accepts it and then tries to do a parse on it. It parses the string as an ID and then it will fail. And so it won't take it. And you'll get back a 4.0, you'll get back a 4.1 bad request. So you'll get back a bad
So the
request.
order counts. Yeah.
What's that?
The order counts.
Yes, it does. JPA, just like all the other sort of like REST API frameworks, they only match the first route that matters. It goes down from top to bottom, and the very first mapping that matches is the one it will take. Not sure I did that. So since this one will trigger, it's going to take this, but if somehow it triggers this first, it's going to take this, it won't try this one. So somehow we get this one to trigger because in front of this one, we'll never get this one to trigger. So usually want these at the bottom, so that way if something above the more specific route triggers first, it will take over. Common practice. We do another request entity, response entity. This one is going to be a list of developers. And then I'm going to do get developers cohort. This one, we're going to do path variable. What do I type after this? This time. Normally we do this as a long ID, but now we got something different in here. What do I type this time?
That be integer cohort?
Remember, in our developer object, cohort is an integer field, so it's integer, and it will again match the word used in our path. Yep. Integer cohort. Let's take a quick look here. Let's see repository dot. This doesn't really look like it's going to work, does it?
Hmm.
And not right away. When we first start, the repository system, JPA repository, just gives us the standard CRUD items of find one, find all, find in a list. But they do have a couple things, but nothing what we were looking for yet. However, they do have a built-in system that will read and try to understand certain function or method names. So in our repository, we're going to go in here. We're going to do a public list developer. Got to import list. Find. Yeah, find. Find all by cohort. The key item here is the term find. So find is the first keyword that JPA repository recognizes. It knows by find, we're going to be searching the database. And so it's going to do a query command or a SQL query command known as select. All tells us to not set a limit, to find all of them so that we won't put what's called a limit of one. If you just do find, you're going to get something called a limit of one. It was going to find the first item and be done. And that's another query. That's another SQL item called limit. Limit equal one or limit, or you just don't put limit in. So find all doesn't apply the limit restriction on it. And then by cohort, by means I'm going to add in a conditional or the SQL query or the SQL item where. And the last item, this, as long as it matches a field in your object that it can recognize and knows how to utilize, it's fine. And that's why we just need to make sure that the variable matches that item by the by. With this, JPA, the repository system, JPA repository, or just JPA and Hibernate will automatically build your SQL query command for this.
So that method name really makes a difference what you type there.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to hint at. Yep. The words you're using in the method name can auto-generate a SQL query command.
So it'll be an error if you just put like Shazbot or something right over there, find by, whatever. Okay.
If I put get all by cohort, it doesn't know what get is, so it's not going to do it. Get is not a word it understands.
Okay.
Yep.
That
So as long as we use this terminology, and there's documentation on this, if you really want to get fancy with it, you can definitely look into the documentation and see what keywords and what phrases it recognizes and what they equivalent to. I'm just teaching you the basic ones. So we're going to find all by cohort, add that
So that's just
method.
all, it basically it's all find by whatever field or wherever that, or whatever.
Yep. So it's find limiter. And then again, limiter is either all or not, or you obfuscate it. You don't put all
How you build the name.
by field.
Oh.
What's that?
You're using their terms to build the name.
Exactly. By using their phrases, they're able to automatically generate a query command based on the database that you're using via the driver.
That's kind of cool.
It's really cool. The fact, again, that you don't have to know SQL query commands. It's really, really nice. So. The last thing I'm going to show though is that if you ever wanted to, though, again, without a lot of these repositories, you still don't even need, even when you do need something a little more customized, you still don't need per se to write a method. Let's say we want to do public.
You're in an interface though. You don't need public, right? Because everything's public.
True, that's why it's
static.
gray. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just so used to typing it in. This is just an example. Again, this is not one we would actually do, but find.
So if I have a question about JPA, so do we not really ever use SQL?
No, because this is my quick example I'm going to give. I'm trying to think of the SQL query in my head right now. My cohort and language. There it is. It doesn't know this and thing. At least I didn't check if it does. But even then, language is an array and it doesn't know if it needs to match it perfectly or partially. And in here, though, now I'm going to be able to do integer cohort and string language. And let's say this one, we test it and we know that we realize that JPA doesn't have a way of converting this. It doesn't know how to convert this. What I can do is add the query annotation. And now here I can write a SQL query.
Oh, okay.
From I gotta remember the table name that it generates. Is it developers or developer? There's probably also a placeholder I could put for this because it's in the repository, but I didn't check on that before writing this. I just came up with the example right now. But yeah, from developer.
Right. Do you need quotes when you use the annotation, or
you technically what's that?
do you need any sort of quotes for developer at all?
You can put like the backticks of the single quotes. You can, but as long as it's not a reserved word by SQL, you don't have to.
Okay.
So you can put them there, but as long as it's not a word that might get misconstrued as SQL queries. And that's why a lot of times you'll see the SQL commands put in caps lock so that you recognize that these are SQL based commands and these are not. They don't have to be capitalized. Just to be clear, this select can be put all small, this from can be put all small characters, it'll still work. But you see most SQL developers will use SQL terms in caps locks to remind themselves what words are SQL and what words aren't. And that way, if they type in a word that is meant to be SQL in small, they realize, ooh, that's the SQL, that's not a, I don't want, this is not intended to be a SQL word, but it is. I need to put quotes around it. Make sense? Kind of?
Yeah. I actually just forgot that since it's a table, you don't even need it to.
Where ooh, I should have looked this up first because now I can't remember the placeholder syntax that it uses. Dang it.
The question. Well, if it's like JDBC, it's like a question mark, and then
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
But I don't know if this is like JDBC
yeah.
at all.
I'm gonna double check because I don't know if the order matters or if I actually put the name of it because I don't know if they want me to type like question cohort or something. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
With JDBC, you set the first part of the parameter is the first placeholder, and it goes chronologically.
Yeah. Goes in the order of the object.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm fairly confident to use the question marks, but I just want to double check instead of me putting you down the wrong path.
Well, that's what I remember by scraper. I used the question marks to
And those are prepared statements too, the question marks.
yeah, and then I just yeah.
I'm expecting it to be the question marks, but again, I just rather be safe instead of giving you guys something wrong. It's question number. Okay, so that is it. Yep. Okay. Yep. So you do
I like place.
cohort, question, and then the positioning of the variable. So this is the first position. So question 1. Cohort there and just remember again quick, make sure I'm good. language. So that, or because I'm trying to think if it's in or if it's in where and I didn't refresh my SQL before this. Again, I'm not confirming the SQL syntax fully right here, but this is kind of how you would add a SQL syntax into a function. So, oh, sorry, into a method. So you don't need to technically write really any sort of methods. The other thing we can also do with these, we can add, even with these right here. So let's say find all by cohort. Let's say we wanted to, one more last thing I'll add into it. What's another, if we grab all these students, what's something we might want to do with the students in that system? Do we just want them listed as they were entered, or do we want to do something else?
Maybe alphabetize them.
Yeah, I might want to sort them by the name, right?
Hmm.
And so you do have that kind of system as well. Where's it? Sort. Where's my notes on that? I had that 2 seconds ago. Where'd you go?
I really like this JPA stuff. It's I don't know if many people know like how the others, like the older way to manage this is really confusing, or at least I found it to be.
Sort. Which one are you? Check that. Maybe when I go a little off the cuff. I believe it's Springboot or Spring Framework. I just can't remember if it's this one or this one. Oh no, wait, it's not annotation, right? Yeah, no. So wait, hold on. Oh, we'll find out. Ready? I'll use one and see if it gives me the dot by. Nope, no, wrong one. Let's try this one. Why did you do it like that? No, not that one either. Huh. Nope, I don't think that's it. No, that's not it. Dang it. That's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, there's the sort and sort by that you can use. I just don't remember the package it's in. I didn't double check because I wasn't gonna do this today, but we had a nice example. Let's do this quick. Sorting with JPA. Double check my item that I want.
You do find all by order by ID ASC.
Could do that too, yeah, but I'm trying to remember the package because I want to be able to also add it to ones like this where we're not using the JPA function reader or method name reader.
Yeah. There is also, you could do find by all dot, and then there's sort by IDSA in parentheses by itself. Inside the, inside the find all. But
Show where what the import command is for that. It's very important to find that because you guys are definitely going to want to use sorting.
The one that's pointed here is data.domain.sort.
Data.main.sort. Huh?
Oh, no, no, that's just the big sort one over here. That's not the little one. Oh, I see. No, forget it. Forget it.
Oh.
A little confused by putting an instruction for the output in the parameters. Does that works like that?
Sorry, what?
So you're putting the direction for the output being that you want the output sorted. You're putting that in with the
Yeah.
parameters. I'm confused as to how that works.
Yeah, it allows you to. That's where it wants it. 'Cause there's what's the one I'm looking for? There's an overload that'll accept us that if you give it a sort, it'll take it. So these are methods that we, and again, this is what JPA reads these to. So again,
Okay.
we have there's no body to these functions, right?
Right.
And these are interfaces. And what happens is that, so how do I explain this right to make sure it's not too fancy? There's a pattern known as a factory pattern.
Mhm.
What that does, it can take something and build a class out of it. And so we're building this interface. And what the system does is the interface, based on what we build, JPA is going to build a class for us that implements this repository and has all the code in it. So the actual class data repository, developer repository doesn't actually exist yet, but it gets created
Mhm.
at runtime. It builds a class based on the methods we define and this guy. So this builds all the basic methods automatically using developer and long. And then any additional methods we put in, it will either auto-generate based on its code that it has, this,
Okay.
or it will auto-develop something like this, where it'll create a method called find by cohort language, and it will inject this SQL query into it, replacing the question 1 and question 2 with cohort and language.
Okay. So there's a lot of abstraction going on here.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of things that's going on under the hood that you guys aren't doing. And I might have to do this. Oh wait, org Springboot.
considered,
There it is. I found it. Why is it not giving me that one?
Cliff, is that considered, what is it, dependency injection?
Ooh, I can't say for sure. That sounds like it might be. I didn't verify that. Ooh, that sounds like it might be. Without really thinking a bit more about it, I am not going to say for sure it is, but it definitely sounds like it might be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to look a little more on it, but that sounds very likely. Why is it not bringing up the one that I want? That's weird. Dot Springboot boot org. Sorry. New framework. Yeah. Data. Domain. Dot. There it is.
Yeah.
Why have you not been? Why don't you show up?
You're missing a semicolon on line 4. Where you just put that import.
You. This should work. Sorry. My code. Sort by, and then here. Oh, right. No, I know what I'm doing wrong. I want to do this. Sorry. Sort.
There you go.
And then I will send it as a parameter to this sort by name. And so if we wanted to use this, for example, right here, we could do a find by foreign language. I would do sort that one dot by name, give it a kit table name, and then, for example, 11 or something like that. That's how I would easily use that one. So that's what how you can add a sorting system to a method that you want to add to. The downside though is that this one I might also have to include the sort here as well. But anyway, just introducing some other things. There's sorting capabilities in there, all that kind of stuff. use that. For this one, we're just going to use, I'm just going to comment this one out for the time being. We're not actually going to use that. We're just going to use our find all by cohort for now. We're going to get into more of these as well, but just be aware that if you have more, you can have fancier searches, and especially once you know SQL, you can add in more fancier items by writing your own SQL commands. Definitely something you can do. Anyway, back to here. Let's go ahead and use that one we just built that has nothing that we actually typed. So return entity repository dot. It actually guessed find all by cohort. Nice. Cohort. Then we're going to do a HTTP status. Okay. And with anything that returns a list, by the way, so lists, you never return a 404 with a list because you never don't find nothing. That by finding nothing, that is a result technically, right? An empty array is still a result. This tells us that there's no one in that cohort. And so it's not that that it was not found. We did find that cohort. We just found that there's nothing in it. That makes sense? So whenever you're returning a list, it's common practice to return the empty list and just say, yep, it's good. We got nothing. It's just here's what you looked for. What you looked for is this. It's okay. Nothing went wrong. We found nothing because there's nothing there. It's empty, an empty array. Let's reboot. Make sure this actually works. As long as I coded this right and typed it all in right, should be fine. Because I tested this earlier on my employee one. Hey, it liked it. No errors so far. So let's go find out if it actually works. Back over here, cohort 12. We'll click send. And look at that. Nothing.
Ooh. That took me a second.
Okay.
I had the wrong endpoint typed in. So I'm like, why am I not getting that?
Remember, cohort 12. So you see Travis, Matt, and Sergio showed up, and neither me or Jim did. If I switch it to 11, there goes Jim. And if I search for cohort 87, which doesn't exist yet, no one's there, which is good. I think I'm currently sitting in cohort 4 right now, just because that's the last number I put. Last thing we'll do, let's go ahead and have the fun we want. I'm going to go ahead and add in another version of it. We're actually going to update this find all by cohort, and we're going to do find all by cohort by name. So I'm going to go back to my repository. I'm going to copy this one. Cohort. And then I think it's, yeah, there's JP. I want to use a sort object. Recorded. Yeah, find all by cohort sorted, as sorted. Cohort, comma, sort. This way I can actually sort by name. So back to developer controller, sorted, cohort, comma, sort dot by name. And that by default, it does ascending, so alphabetical or up. It goes from lowest to highest, so it'll go from A to Z. By default. There is a way to reverse it, but that's not today. Again, you can look into more of this. You can find documentation. I'm not going to give you everything you need, but I'm giving you the couple breadcrumbs so that you know that this exists. You can go look into it deeper yourself when you need it. So when you realize, oh, I need to sort, well, let me go look up how to sort. I know sort by, so let me go look that up and see more of the specifics on how I can do it. Let's rerun. Ooh, what did not like? Didn't like my method. Why not? Did not like to sort. I don't think I like to sort. No property sorted found for type integer. Why are you searching by sorting by integer? You don't want to sort by integer.
Oh, that's why.
Satisfied dependency expressed through field repository nested exception. La 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 la.
Yep.
Didn't like that one.
It sure doesn't.
That's weird because you said
And one of it has to be first. It might have to be first. Let's swap it quick. So I feel like I've done this before. Oh, wait, I did this. This broke it because it doesn't know the word sorted. Whoops.
Oh,
Word sorted is not a recognized term, so put it back. Keep the sort there, though. See if it'll at least accept the sort still.
Then you just gotta change the name of that.
Yeah.
Still sort of.
Yep. Okay, let's see if it accepts that. I feel like it should be okay with that. Good, it is. I thought so. I was pretty confident its system can accept that without needing it in the name. I don't think
Oh, and it
because
does work.
What we're doing a dynamic sort, that the route can choose the sorting item instead of, because I do believe there is a method name configuration that allows you to add the sorting to the name of the method. That's the method, so you can add like order by name here in the method name, and that way you wouldn't need to provide a sort. It's automatic, it's built in. But this way we can actually sort by whatever we want. Sort by name, sort by cohort, which would be honestly, but sort by email, for example. So we could sort by other fields, and that's what this one's nice, is that we can do this find all by cohort with multiple ways of sorting. We don't hard code the sorting method. So that should now work. So now if I go back, you can see here that this is already definitely out of order because Travis is first. And Matt should definitely be first, then Sergio, then Travis. So let's hit send again. There it is. Matt, Sergio, Travis, MST. In order by alphabet. A little extra knowledge there, a little extra bit. We could add a little extra with the sorting. And because of that, I can add a little bit extra to the challenge, to the assignments. Nice. All right. So today's exercise. We'll do it for the next 45 minutes, the next 30 minutes, and maybe even actually not. I want to feel like this is probably more homework. Be good to do it partially as an assignment, but at the same time, homework would be nice to have. So let's actually discuss the next thing we're going to be doing, and that requires tablet. Away. I need to wipe that off. It's dusty. There we go. There's the cable. All right, here we go. You share chat message. Calling us away. Got it. Don't do that. Go away, chat. You share. Whiteboard. Really? Okay, not good. Hold on. I need to switch something quick for a second. My screens are stop. You're the main. For a second. Good. Okay. That's normal. That should now be my main screen. Share screen, whiteboard, share. Good. Now it's on the screen I want. Awesome. Okay. Go move this thing up. I have the Zoom thing in the way, it won't move. There it goes. Jesus. All right, so we're creating our, what is it? Geeky likes, right? That was it. We forgot the name. Geeky likes. We have our developers.
Got the Y. Thank you.
All good. We have our developers, and then bare minimum in a social media site. What is the one minimum thing we might want to have?
Posts.
Yeah, the posts that they can put, right? Posts. What are some things that like a developer might want to have for like a profile, let's say? What other, so we have their email, their name. What else might a social media want to have for a developer?
Avatar.
Yeah, like an avatar, right? A picture, photo. Let's think anything else. And we also had that other one we had was like languages, right? We had languages, which might be nice to actually have as a trackable item where we can see how we can have those managed and normalized. All right, so let's think of the relationships these have. So a developer to their posts. How many posts can a developer have?
Many.
Right, and how many developers does a post have?
One.
Right, yeah, a single developer makes as many posts as they want, right? And so this will be identified like this. A one-to-many relationship.
Ah.
So we have this little like fork here that shows that they have multiple posts. How many avatars does a developer need?
One.
Thank you. One, right? I only need one photo really, because how many avatars or how many profile pictures do I get to have on Twitter, for example?
One.
Right, I have one, right? And so that would be a one-to-one relationship. It's just common. I actually don't know why they do the slashes on the lines, but they do. So just go with it. It's just to show it's a single item. So it's confirming that it's a single one-to-one relationship. How many languages can a developer have?
Multiple.
All right, good. Yeah, language. As we know, every single one here has at least 2 languages, if not more than 2. And for each language, how many developers can know each language?
Multiple.
Many to many, right?
Mhm.
So you can have 1, 2, 3. Many to many relationships. So many languages with many developers. And so these are your 3 most common relationships. At the same time, I also want to do
Is this like kind of this like flowchart stuff? Is this with all databases? Or
yes.
is
This is one
Okay.
of those database charts. Yeah, they have those. Those are common items. Then I do want to do one more where our developer is many developers to 1. I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to think of one. Can anybody think of one? Where we have many developers, but that item, but each developer may have one of this item. That one item can have many developers, but we can only have one.
The
Project.
database itself.
What was that?
A
Aaron?
fork on a repository.
Projects.
I was gonna say a computer.
I guess you could, no, because a project, a developer can have multiple projects and projects can have multiple developers. That's another many to many. What was the other one I heard?
Like
Is it a
computer.
fork on a repo?
No, it's again, you can fork multiple, you can have multiple forks. Yeah, you can only fork a repo once, but
What about like sharing a post?
ooh,
GitHub
shares,
profile.
maybe.
Because the post belongs to one developer, but many developers could share it.
Exactly. That would be kind of like doing this.
Hmm.
With a what's called a shared field. Not quite what I want because it's a little more fancy than I wanted. I want this just it's, again a separate item. I'm trying to think.
Social security number.
We're just going to enforce this, even though it's not quite right. But we're going to do job. A job can have multiple developers. We're going to say in our system, a developer has one main job. Or company. There we go. Company. We'll do company. You have one company that you work for.
What could
in
be
our system.
titled?
It's your main. It's your main company. It's not that you can't have other jobs. Just it's your one that's your main. You know what I mean? So it's your main job company. And so of course, each company can have multiple developers on our site working for that company. That makes sense? It's not a perfect example because technically, yeah, as developers, you could definitely have multiple companies. But we're going to use this for now that you have one company that you're saying that you work for. That is your kind of like main company that you work for.
Hey, title.
Title. There we go. That'll work. Thank you. That's perfect. We can use that. That way we can search by title and see other developers. We can find other database developers. Yeah, that works. Title. I like it. That works. At least that definitely feels more valid, you know? So, yep, I like it. That works. Again, they could be title or company. It's not a really big deal which it is. The main thing is just we're trying to get this idea that from developers, we see all 4 relationships that the developer item can have. A developer can have many posts while each post has a single developer. So a one-to-many. Developers is a many-to-one with title. Title has a one-to-many, post has a many-to-one. Developers is a one-to-one, one-to-one, and then we have a developers many-to-many, many-to-many. So far, so good. We see how those interact, right? We understand those relationships, how those relationships work, right? We can kind of say the developers have a list of posts. They have a list of posts that are theirs, while a post has a developer. Well, how would the post refer to the developer? How can we link back to the developer? What can we use?
Guy ID? No,
Yeah, the
yeah.
developer ID, right? We know every single developer has a unique ID. And the list of posts can really just be a list of post IDs, right? Just so we know all the posts they have and we can go find those posts we want them. That's how we can link them together. Really, we link them through this. Post equals developer ID. We want to find all the posts. When we want to find all the posts that this developer has done, we just go to the post table and do a select on them via all the posts that have developer ID equal to the ID we're looking for. So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that connection via developer ID. So thinking that way, how would we connect the title to the developers? Thinking about the direction this one is and the direction this one is. Which ID would we be using here?
The title ID?
Yeah, the title ID, right? The developer would have the title ID
Oh.
in their field. They would just refer to the title ID of the title they have. Let's do it here. Developers to photo now. Here's an interesting one. How will we link these two together?
I'll go with the photo ID for in the developer.
Jim says photo ID.
I mean,
other
it could
IDs?
be photo ID or developer ID. I mean, it'd be the same, wouldn't it?
We could use either direction. Technically, yes. We could even do a bi-directional item. We could have both refer to each other. A lot of times, if you want to do a single directional one, you'll usually do the one that is created first, and then the second one will just refer to the original. So in our case, most likely we'll create the developer first, then create the photo record, and so the photo can then reference the developer. However, the 100%, we can have a bidirectional, where when we first create the developer, the photo ID is null. Once the photo is created that has developer ID, we then update developer ID with the new photo ID. And so we have a bidirectional reference. So developer references the photo, and the photo can refer to the developer as well. So we can do both directions. And that's what's really cool with a one-to-one. You can do one or both. And again, it really just depends on which way you want to go. Let's think about language now. This one's going to be the difficult one. If anyone knows how this one works, I'll be impressed. Developers language. How do we connect the developers with multiple developers with multiple languages and back and forth? Tricky, huh?
Well, you would have to store the ID of the languages in the developer by their IDs.
We need to store, yeah, we need to store. So how these work is that usually there is an intermediary table, usually called developer language. what it is, you have dev ID and lang ID as the two columns. And so dev 1 knows languages 2, 3, and 8, whereas developer 2 knows languages 3, 4, that's it. See how that works?
Yeah, it's almost like a hash map, it looks like.
In a way, it kind of is, except, and kind of, yeah. You could definitely argue that. It's really what they call it, I think they call it a set, though. What this does, though, is it does unique items, and all we need to do is then say, oh, well, I need all the languages that dev 1 knows. Well, I'm going to do a select on dev ID, and then I'll get 2, 3, and 8, and then I can pull the names from language for 2, 3, and 8. If I want all developers that know language 3, I can do a select on lang ID 3, and then get dev IDs 1 and 2, and get their names from developers. And so that's usually how these many-to-manys are handled, is that there's a secondary database in table in between that's making those connections and tracking all those connections. And what's really nice about JPA is we don't need to build this table. We're going to define it and kind of clarify it, but we're not going to build it. And the next thing I want to introduce is 2 terms of arts that you're now going to learn about. So we have the ID field in developer and developer ID. This is in post. And this is in developer. Developers, posts. And where'd my tools go? Why are you over there? Wait, no, that's not my tool. Where'd my annotation tools go? My annotation tools are missing. There it is. So we have 2 fields here. We also will have, let's say we have photo ID here. And let's say we have, oh, right, and just ID here as well. So do something interesting quick. Hold on, 2 seconds. Not on that screen, do it on this screen quick. I'll do a quick little form, quick little like test, like a little quiz just to see what you guys are thinking. So. How do you spell foreign again? Am I spelling foreign wrong? I'm spelling foreign wrong, aren't I?
I think you flip the I and the E.
Yeah.
Right, I did.
Hard for me to tell. I can't even figure it out until trial and
I
error.
before E.
What do you have to see?
And rhyme, and words that rhyme with way.
It doesn't rhyme with way, it's foreign.
There's a lot of other exceptions also.
I
That's
know,
just
it's
how
one
it
rule
goes.
it's one rule that is not a rule if you ask me. It's a recommendation that no one follows.
There's a lot of those in this language.
Yeah, and
So
I'm learning
before
Spanish
you
does
accept
that.
after C, minus the 80% that don't
There's
follow
no
that rule.
C.
What about Keith?
I'm loving how everybody's giving me all the exceptions that don't apply here. And I lost my headphones with everyone is laughing.
Oh.
No, there it goes back. Okay.
You
I
put
also just found out about the fun rule conflict that Spanish does with colors. Sergio probably knows what I'm talking about. Red car, carro rojo.
Yeah. So it's like,
How about an orange car?
carro mamey.
No,
Naranja.
El carro naranja.
I'm
Even though
sorry,
it's
yeah,
O,
mamey is like a Dominican way of saying orange. It's
yeah. Oh. By the time
Just-
we use that.
Just mention mame to your wife and she'll know what you're talking
Probably.
about. Orange.
El carro naranja. I'm like, why are you using the it should be naranjo, but it's not. And then the
Naranja.
real
The
fun
color-
one
the
is
color
a
itself
green
is
car.
naranja. The
I like
color
green
itself
car.
is-
Verde.
Yeah, doesn't do A or O. It's not El Carro Verro or El Carro
Because
Vera.
it's the color
verde.
itself. That's why the color itself has its own letter.
But rojo and roja are it. Red does apply masculine and feminine. So it's
Yeah.
inconsistent.
It's one of those. Yeah, man. It's annoying. You got.
Yeah.
I guess I don't notice it because I grew up speaking it, but
Right, exactly.
is
You're like, oh
annoying.
yeah, he's right. But I'm just saying, all languages have this stuff where it's just like we just don't obey our own rules. Like, yeah, masculine and feminine. Nah, not when it comes to color. Really? But yet also when it comes to color. Let me finish this damn form.
you do be annoying, as they say.
It do be like that sometimes. The brainworms of memetics. Ugh.
Yeah, see, I spelled form wrong there. It should have been EI, just like that. There was no C.
Ooh, I know what I'm actually gonna switch this a little bit. Over. Good. Almost done. Hold on. Good, that's good. Spanish, I have a couple more questions. Okay. Am I do that again? That one. Do it again. Do. Button. Having issues today. Disconnecting, reconnecting. Good. Good. Really didn't have points automatically. Oh, there we go. Settings, the quiz, responses, collect, email, response. Want to show your results. Oh, good. Yep. Okay, good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Last but not least. Can't do that. Okay. Good. Send. URL, shorten, copy. All right. In the Zoom chat, there is now a form you all need to participate in. Everyone must do it. No avoiding it.
Okay.
Take a challenge. See what you guys, see how you do with it. And again, I'm being aware that this is me not explaining what the difference between the two are or the three are, and you just seeing what your intuition gives you. So it's all based on intuition or prior knowledge. if you're already familiar with these terms. Pretty sure everything has like an answer key and everything has points. So. Also, no overthinking it. Don't need to go to Google. This is just instinct and logic. So don't go searching for Google for answers on this. It's supposed to be like a 3-minute quiz. So
I got 100.
I was hoping you, Mike, you have some familiarity with this. No hints.
Oh, I'm not hinting anything.
Good. Think about the words. That's the only hint I will give. Just think about the words and what they might mean.
Does 1 out of 5 mean that I'm number 1?
This is golf rules, right?
Totally.
Got a hole in 1.
I'm curious how you did that. Huh. What was your answers?
Joke.
Oh,
It's
lied.
just a joke.
You lied.
Oh, all right. No, it shows that I don't know any.
All you have to do is close your eyes and just click 1.
I probably would have done better if I did that.
That's basically how I did it. So
Good grades?
Got it.
absolutely not.
Oh, I forgot. It's not close your eyes. It's open your eyes.
Oh,
Oh, that must have been where I messed up.
Huh, the one you got wrong, Freddie, is kind of interesting. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, it's funny
I'm
because
pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with my answers.
I just did that like right now.
Oh,
I was
snap!
making
There's
it
a.
for the
Don't
future
discuss your
service.
results or your answers or which one it was. Just, yeah,
Right.
the one you got wrong was interesting.
What, you can see that right away?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you click the view scores. And then
You can see your results too. So
I can, yeah. Man, I was so short too, but whatever.
it's all
Well,
good. Again, this
we're
is just
learning.
again gut instinct, using logic, kind of analyzing the words, just seeing what your instincts are, what your hypotheses are. So
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with people getting zeros and hundreds. Not a thing, because again, I'm having you guys take a test without me explaining it at all. So I
Yeah.
cannot blame you
I
guys for
thought
not
I thought I had missed something. That's why I was like, I don't know anything about this.
Nope, you didn't miss anything.
I
Pop
got
quiz,
5 out of
hot
5, but totally unlucky.
What'd you say, Travis?
pop quiz hot shot.
Oh.
Shoot the hostage.
Good, Aaron. Nice, Ari.
Totally out of luck.
Part of me was just curious to see what kind of, if I could figure out a pattern and try to understand what your answers might be and figure out where you were coming with the ID with your answers. So
I'm giving this
Figure that
quick. I'm giving this quiz geeky dislike. No, I'm just kidding.
you're not posting it. Got it.
When you fill out your attendance form next time, you can rate this class and you just say you didn't like that pop quiz.
Oh no.
No,
And that's the last time we're
I
asked our
actually-
opinion on anything.
Yep.
Uh,
No more pop quizzes. You just guys gonna have to hopefully understand stuff.
no, I like the pop quiz. This
Okay.
is very insightful. It's just
I feel
like
like I'm missing somebody. I have 10. And there's I think 11
just a
of us.
cheeky joke.
I didn't
You
finish.
didn't do it bad. You get 150. Oh, Elaine. Okay. I was just about to
I
go through to see
couldn't-
who I'm missing.
I have problems getting into the.
It's gotta have me logged in. One of the things I recommend with Google Chrome is in the upper right, you have there's like a little profile icon. You can have multiple profiles that you can log in. So you can actually log in on the browser as your creatives account.
Yeah, I have multiple Gmail accounts and I
Yeah.
need them all, and it just doesn't
Yeah.
like me.
Right here on the right, on the upper right here, if I click on it, I can switch to other profiles anytime and they have different colors.
All we
Like
can
a-
see is your whiteboard right now.
Damn it, you're right. Quick.
God dang.
One. Oh, we're gonna lose that whiteboard though. After. I'll show
Still
it after.
recording. too.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't lose your whiteboard. It's
No,
fine.
I'll show it after,
I'm-
yeah.
I'm
After
doing
this,
it.
we'll show it. Yeah. I probably could have paused the recording. It's too late now. You guys are pretty much almost done. Were you able to get in, Lane, or no?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm just
Okay, just making sure. I just wanted to check.
I'm making my guesses.
All right. This feature didn't do bad. You got more than 50%. Not bad. We didn't have a bell curve. We had an M curve. Most people either did 2 or 4. So the 2 points or 4 points. That was the main kind of spread. Into this. Oh, that's M. And according to the data, the most, goddamn headphones. The most frequently missed one or incorrect one was the photo ID one. 4 out of 11 got it right. So that was one that most people got wrong. Yeah, overall. So let me just take it. I'll just do this quick. Instead of even showing, I'm not going to be more about showing the results. That doesn't really matter. No one needs to know what you got right or wrong if you're classmates. All you know, so let's do this thing. When something is foreign, what do you mean by that? When something is foreign, what does that mean?
It's not native to whatever we're referencing.
It's external, right? Usually,
Yeah.
From outside, right?
Mhm.
And so if we had to think about that, anything that is referencing something externally could be argued would be foreign, right? That the item is referencing is foreign. And so anything that is referencing another table is considered a foreign ID. So if I bring up the questions, not the answers. There we go. Oh, again, I can't do that. God damn it. So for the first one, the table was developer and the column was a photo ID.
Mhm.
And so we have the photo ID. Is that a foreign or a primary key? If we think about that term, foreign being external.
That's a foreign key.
Right, it's referring to something external, right?
Mhm.
So anything like that, developer ID, photo ID, developer ID and posts, and yeah, all those were your foreign keys. They're all referring to an ID number from another column, another table. Primary is like main. It's mine. Like it's the primary, like the primary color is like it's pure, right? How else would you guys word it? What do you think? The word primary.
My main key, man.
Yeah, it's my main thing, right? It's main, like this is the primary item, like primary player, like it's the main thing. And so in this case, yeah, just the key that makes everything unique is the primary key. So in all of our tables, ID is one of our primary keys. If we were to go into our developer table, we have ID. We also have this one email, right? If we were to add email at unique, that's going to, and that's not spelled right, is it? I think there's a
UE.
U there.
It's QUE.
Yep, unique. If we would add that annotation to email ID, to email, that means that every email in this table must be unique, right? We can't have duplicates. And so what that means, email could be made into another primary key. It will not be the primary key. So do be aware here that you can have multiple items that can act like a primary key, but you still only ever have a single primary key. So I do want to make sure that's very, very clear. ID is still your primary key, but you can have other items that can act as primary keys. And so what we can do there is that our post could even do and that could be a foreign key. And so those are your two items. You have primary key and foreign key. The last item, of course, standard content, is any column that is not unique. So it's not something we can search on really that would give us a single item. And it doesn't refer to anything externally. So in the item like post content, that's just the content of the post. Nothing special about it. That's standard content. It's a standard column, nothing special about it. But these are the two things you want to be very care of, because primary keys and foreign keys are key in relationships.
So the foreign key generally has the table name and then underscore, then the column that it's
Common
referencing.
practice, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't have to, but common practice, yes. Common practice, yeah. The foreign key has the table name and then the data that it's connected to that generates that connection. And the primary key is just, again, this is the thing that identifies what this record is, the uniqueness that this record is one of a kind. It's different from all others. And this is how I can find it and guarantee I'm gonna get the same one every time whenever I search for this item. That's the role of the primary key.
Sometimes if you're generating a table, so not necessarily like a Java, but if you're doing it outside when you're doing it through the thing, you might get a warning saying that there's no primary key defined and you should define one.
Yep.
If you don't do one, if you don't
Yeah.
remember it.
When you have a table with no primary key, then it says that it can cause queries on it to be slow because there's nothing it can index on. It has to index pretty much everything. And it has to just do a raw search on everything. So primary keys are, so computers do something called indexing where they do like a scan of stuff and they kind of sort and organize information to make it easier to search. It does stuff to make it easier to find. I don't really know. I haven't really looked under to see what it actually does when you say you index something, but the main key is that an indexed column is easier to run searches on and to actually check those fields. So if you're going to commonly be searching by a certain field, it's good to create an index on it. Again, I'm not going to go over how to do that in my system, but it's something you at least want to be aware of, that it's something you can do. So if you're constantly searching by email, not by ID, like let's say, for example, in authentication systems, you're constantly going to look up a username or an email account, you might want to make sure that that column is indexed to make sure that that column can be searched better and searched faster. So you get better return times on your queries. But these are the two things I wanted to focus on today, not about indexing and all that stuff, just primary and foreign keys, the key elements that make relationships possible. So that's what, if you could take anything out of this, just remember that primary key and foreign key are key in relationships. And just remember this key item here so that you don't forget that the two keys are what matter. Sound good? Little shortcut. Key and relationship. Relationships are key. There we go. We can do that one. Relationships are key. That's your little reminder that your keys are important to relationships. And that was a horrible circle. So anyway, this is probably what I'm going to end up building for our system next week. We're going to be doing some simple versions of these: post, title, photos, and languages. Even though we're not going to actually use any of these things, we're going to bring them in and implement them and just create, like, this is just to be a URL, which is a string, title, string again, posts, title and string, title and content, and languages, just title. So these will be very, very simple entities that we're going to end up creating. For you guys over the weekend, what I want you to do is to come up with your 4 extra entities and their relationships. Now, you can use customer. If you think customer can be connected to vehicles in some way, if there's a relationship there in some way, think of what the relationship is. Is it many to many, one to many, many to one, one to one? You get to think about how that relationship is. So think about that relationship, and then think of other ways we can connect to either vehicles or customer. And they don't have to all be pulled out of one. Your many to many, one to one, many to one can be from any table to any table. That makes sense? So think about a car rental company and how we can structure this. What we'll do on Mondays, we'll have you guys kind of show off your ideas. And so the last thing I'm going to do here is clean this out quick. Well, drawings, I want to introduce again I highly recommend using Draw.io and just drawing out your connections, your entity name, and then the lines. And again, your 3 lines is a line with nothing on, no arrows, and just they have these 2 lines. Again, you can just do a blank line. You don't have to have these lines on here. That's fine. This is a 1-to-1. Next one you have is the arrow with a fork and the slashes on one side. This is a 1-to-many. We also have, of course, the arrow, the spread on this side, lines. This is a many to one. And the last but not least, your arrow, your spread, many to many. So using those 4 lines, come up with your own structure for the car rental, and then we'll pick one of the students' or we'll create one together. We'll either pick someone's or we'll work together to kind of merge a couple the ones we like and build out a map for your car rental application that you're doing as practice. Sound good? And the idea is that, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Is there any difference between a one-to-many and a many-to-one?
Not really. It's just where the source is, like where the
Yeah,
what's on the left
okay.
or right. Just want to make sure that there's no arguments which way. You would just read it. You would just speak of it that way. That posts is a many to one developers, and developers is a one to many to posts. That's how you would say it.
Okay.
So developers has a one to many relationship to post, while posts has a many to one relationship with developer.
Sure. It depends on where the
where you're
the
starting.
primary
with.
is.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it really just depends on also where you're starting with the statement you're making.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, and you'll actually see both annotations on any of these, whether there's is any of these, if you use this line,
Mhm.
both entities are going to have a annotation. One's going to have the one to many, and the other one's going to have the many to one annotation in there. So you're going to see both annotations on those, even though you have one line. So as make sure you understand that you can read it, you can say it either way. It's the same relationship, just you're saying it a different way because it depends on what you pre-see, which database you start with or which table you start with.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Let's see, I'll say again. What was he saying? Crap, what was I gonna say? I forgot. Oh, right. So the idea here is that as we build out the Geeky Likes project, you'll be able to practice what we do in class with your car rental item. That's why we want to make sure we have a similar map. Sound good?
Cliff, just the other day, I'm talking to one of my
Ooh, hold on, my
students about-
headphones decided to die again. Oh, clean the connectors or something.
I just talking to one of my
Connected
students
to
about
Bluetooth.
something they're working on, and I've said, "Oh,
Sorry,
you
Elaine,
see, this
restart.
thing is one to one. This one's one to many, and this one's many to many." I'm like, "Oh my God, now you're talking about it right here." I know I heard it here before.
So overall, again, it's gonna make more sense the more we see it and as we build them out, but hopefully this concept that data has these relationships at least is understandable in a core level, as a low level. And all sorts of relationships have some sort of way of this. They utilize this in some way. Even when we said like, yeah, a developer has posts, but they can also like posts, and those will have a type of many, many, one to many, or many, many. And what they'll usually use is we'll have other tables in the intermediary. So for example, the idea of, I know I think Mike may have said like sharing, but I would think more like liking a post. And we want to make sure that a user can only like a post once. And so what we would have is we would have a likes table that has, again, user ID and post or developer ID and post ID. And that would, again, so that would make it a many to many. A developer can like many posts, and a post can have many likes from developers. And so it'd be similar to our languages, the developers connection. And so you can also do that. So there are more fancy ways, there's definitely fancy relationships, but in all relationships in some way, shape, or form boil down to this. And a many to many can even be enforced to a many, or a one to many, or a many to one can also be enforced to a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. You just enforce how many max they can have. So that would just be encoding, but it's still a 1 to 2 where your limit is 2 is still considered a 1 to many. You have more than one. Sound good? All right. So that's your homework. So your code. So the homework for today, again, the code wise, you just got to add those 2 routes that we did, the put and the delete. And again, recommend, and I want you to use the response entity for that for you guys. And I want you all to come up with a single find by another column. That's why I want you to have at least 3 columns or 3 fields in each of your 2 entities. I want each one of you to create a get mapping for some sort of searchable item. Sound good? So there's the 3 routes you need to make. Again, we do. I'm going to add that to class now because of the weekend with the hackathon going on. I'm going to probably forget.
Thank you.
So,
create assignment.
so Matt.
Go.
You know when we were looking at the workbench? And
Yeah.
And then I told you to click that little thing with all the boxes that had the model and it had that big huge display.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one to many to one that you can take your, you can actually
Oh.
use this workbench and take your databases and have it generate that model for you. So you can actually see how your databases are connected, but that's what the one to many to one, you can see how they all are like talking to each other. So.
Cool. Thank you, Jim. That's going to be really helpful.
Also, just to showcase really, really fast, in case someone doesn't want to do the drawing with an actual like pen and paper thing, Draw IO, which we've introduced before. Their arrows. They have the many to many kind of items on it. So they have the arrow types you want.
We only
There's
see
one
a
that's
white
the
one.
many.
Are you sharing
many,
the thing? Because we see a
There's
white one.
one. So,
Cliff,
Cliff.
you only
oh,
see,
right, share screen. You share
we see
desktop
an
one,
eraser on the screen.
right? Sorry, Draw IO.
Oh, yeah,
So
there you
showing
go.
that Draw IO has those items that you want. So if I just do a line here, not that one, solid line, grab line. Over here, when you click on one, you go over here to the right, these two fields here. These have the things you want. So I feel like that they're not really showing all because it's going past the bottom.
You can go to the left as well and go down it. It has entity relationships.
Yeah.
What is it?
So you can see them better on the left. Go down to entity. If you go scroll down to, oh, you have a lot. You can just
Yep.
search it up, I think.
Which ones are you using?
Entity.
Yeah, the entity relationship.
Right
Oh, it's
there.
right there.
In the box. Go down.
Down.
Ah,
Right
that one.
there.
Oh, nice. There they are. Beautiful. Okay, cool. I'm going to turn off that thing. That's the big one that's full of all the other items in the mockup items I need to turn off. Why do I have mockups turned on? I care about.
There you go. You got the
Those are
database,
beautiful. Yep, there you go. Tables,
primary
list,
key, foreign
entity.
key,
Yep, they show you PK for primary key,
and then a foreign key is the other one.
FK for foreign key. Yep,
Foreign key, there you go. Everything you need to
you
know.
can see 0 to many,
Oh, wow.
Yep.
0 to 1. I forgot about 0 ones. A lot of these we don't deal with. Again, you got mandatory. Yep.
Mandatory.
All ones I care about, many to many.
Hey,
There it is, one mandatory, yeah. So one optional is just, that's where the lines are from. Oh, that's what the lines mean exactly there. One to many, so this is the one we commonly do, one to many. And that's another thing you do, one optional, but I just do one to many. It's the 1 to 1. There it is, 1 to 1. There's your 1 to 1. So 1 to 1, 1 to many.
keep going. They're all over the place in there. There's one to many to many.
Yeah, many. Oh, there's 1 to many. I want that one. So yeah, 1 to many. 1 to many. 1 to 1. And many to many. Where are you? Where'd you go?
Oh, you just had
There
it.
it is.
There it is.
Yep.
Many.
So those are them. Many to many, 1 to many, and 1 to 1. Those are the two. Those are the 3 lines you care about. Again, yeah, you can definitely take a look at these and see that there are other ways of identifying stuff, saying that they're mandatory or optional and stuff like that, which are actually pretty useful to know. But that's getting a bit more fancy and aggressive and out there. I usually don't clarify whether it's optional or mandatory because we know that technically posts to developers, it's mandatory to have a developer, yes, but it's optional to have many posts. You don't have to have any posts as a developer technically, right? So that's the way to look at it. So that one, if you wanted to get really down and deep with it, it would be this one actually for the posts to developers. Many optional posts, but mandatory 1 developer. So this would be the one we would use for the developer to posts, for example. If you want to get specific, feel free to have fun with that. If you want to be very, very specific, go for it. I'm just me talking about the very standardized, like many to many, 1 to many, and 1 to 1. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's it for today. Let me go ahead and finish up listing this though. Create the following routes.
Did you post the code in GitHub yet?
Hold
Yeah, I do
on.
also need.
I have not actually posted it, and I actually didn't create the repo for it yet. So
Okay.
update one by ID. Destroy one by ID. Read all by
Destroy one by ID, resurrect one by ID.
So those are the three routes you want to do. Also utilize response entity. Additional challenge, update.
You think Zuckerberg did this when he first designed Facebook?
Probably. Update.
Makes sense.
Post map to return 201. So that would be another little challenge. Update your post requests, so your post mappings to return 201. Get that practice in there. So due date
For your first
Monday.
practice, make a graphical picture and display it when it comes up as 404.
Assign yourself to that, Jim. Have fun.
Yep, I'm not butting that.
Thank you.
Java, not classwork, Java homework. There you go. Java homework. All good. Java homework.
I'll just have the Draconis dragon there.
Yay.
Denied access. Not found. You don't have the Draconis dragon with the little teapot pouring tea, like with the. I should just do all the status pages with Draconis, with the Draconis dragon doing various things.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, there's your homework. Any questions on, of course, feel free to ask. Post in Slack. Got all day tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. If you're not doing the hackathon, if you're doing the hackathon, you got all day tomorrow to at least get this done. Nothing too fancy. It's everything we've done in class. You just readjusting it to your car rental application. So keep it simple, keep it focused. Everything here should be doable. Get that practice in. Any questions? Issues? I'm going to go with that being good then. We assume that's a good thing, that we're following, that it's making sense, that we're seeing slowly but surely a way we can use this to build some sort of application that users can interact with, right? We're starting to see that a little bit.
Yes, definitely. It's coming together.
In a very abstract way, yes.
Yeah, we're starting to see the building blocks, right? We're starting to see how it might come together. We don't see it yet. We're like, I could see how we might be able to do this, like how we can create things like you said, Keith, this is probably how Mark Zuckerberg did to start with Facebook. Yeah, just kind of like this. He just created profiles and things like that. Eventually, yeah, he had to come up with just relationship databases, how things connected to make sure that they worked right. Same with YouTube and stuff like that. Same things. Very, very similar. So with that being said, I will see everybody on Monday. With the hackathon, I probably will do any sort of office hours. I will be on Slack, of course, since I'll be at the hackathon, so I'll be on my computer. As long as I'm not running a meeting, I can definitely answer questions. So feel free to post stuff in Slack, all you need. And as soon as I get the specifics on the hackathon for Saturday, I will let you guys know.
Okay.
All right. Have a good weekend.
We can
I'll get the video posted as soon as I can.
the hackathon. We can still meet up with teams on Friday and still continue to work and do
Of
our
course.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make
I'm not
sure.
gonna stop that. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said on Sunday, you guys are not required to work on it on non-hackathon days, but I'm also not stopping you.
Yeah.
So
I've been poking
other than
at.
that,
Yeah, sore body, my infusions next week, so
Oof.
it's starting to fall apart on me.
There you
oh,
go.
geez, I got the sore legs from the workout. They called me and my wife clients of the month last month. I was
Wow.
like, this is a new thing they just started and they picked us first. I'm like, do you have no one better than us? We're actually on, it's actually on Instagram. I changed. I'm like, holy crap, I did lose weight.
It's slowly but surely, man. It's
Yeah.
just consistency. That's what it all takes.
I saw the pictures. What are they? Formless Fitness on Instagram. There's a picture there, and you can see how much of a gut I had before. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I see it more now. Like I knew I had lost some, but it's different when you see the picture of the before and after.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, the way you could tell in the first picture, like I was dying. I had the scrunched up, angry face of like, how dare I do this myself? And the next picture, I have a neutral face. I'm doing it. They gave us mugs. They gave us,
Nice.
they gave us mugs as like a prize. And I'm like, damn, okay, cool. Yeah. It was great because of course, I had to pick on it because, of course, they just had to announce it on Monday, the first day of the year, the month. And my mother calls me at like 9:30 in the morning to wake me up and be like, what is going on? And did you see it? Like, did I see what? Like, I'm asleep. So yeah, my legs are sore because we did leg day yesterday. So
I'll see you this weekend, Cliff.
I'll see you this weekend.
Alrighty.
And again, anybody in this cohort, if you're still thinking around and you want to try to participate a little bit, you can. We can always make a second team or just have you guys join in on the existing team. So let us know if you want to try to jump in for the weekend. So other than that, though,
Fun to be had.
what's that, James?
There's lots of fun to be had.
And
Don't
free
have
food.
any more updates on the hackathon? Or are we gonna get updates?
Not at the
tomorrow?
moment. They'll be posted in both the general and the hackathon channel. So just keep an eye open. I'm going to remind Arnell to let us know what time on Saturday we're doing. So like I said, Friday, if you guys want to meet up on your own time, you're fine. We just have nowhere to do anything on Friday. So we're not doing an official hackathon day on Friday. So we have nowhere to go for it. Arnell can't let us in the CIC, and the Creative's building would not be ready for tomorrow. So yeah, Arnell forgot about a previous engagement he had this weekend. So unfortunate. It happens though. We have so many things going on.
Sure.
Done at Indian Point Park. Let's go.
Like I said, you want to hold an event, you want to go somewhere else, go for it. I know that like CIC is open to the public. The district hall is open from 9 to 5. So
Oh.
if you guys want to meet up in person at CIC there, you can. There's no snacks.
Oh,
I'll be there
like
'cause I have
waiting
other stuff
area?
to do to them instead. What's that?
In the waiting area?
Kind of, when you go to the lobby right behind the security office guard on the left. You go
Oh,
past that desk on the left and through that door, that's district hall. That's an open public area during the weekdays from 9 to 5.
okay. Oh, that's
Open to
right.
public.
I forgot tomorrow's Friday. I was thinking Saturday. Is it not open?
Nope, tomorrow's Friday. So 9 to 5 tomorrow, you can use that. You can,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
right.
convince any of your team to go there. They'll, yeah.
Yeah, the cafe is open from 9 to 5 too. So the free one there.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. I don't know if any of your team's actually here though.
No.
I'm gonna say, I think your team is not in right now. Cullen already left, so you'd have to ping him. And Victor is in another cohort. And Evan was stuck at work today. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, you can ping them. The only problem with Evan is that he might have work, and I think Cullen might have work too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
the
all right.
downside.
I don't have work on Friday, so I can actually just keep working.
There you go. All right, I'll see you guys on Monday. I'll try to get the video up tonight if I can. So
See you guys later.
if you don't see it tomorrow, remind me.
Adios.
Yeah.
See ya.
Oh, make sure you get the repo posted because I
Oh, right.
Repo
Make a repo.
boy.
forgot to add
Leave what?
to my project to one of my to the geeky project. So now I tried adding the implementation, but it's just giving me an error and it's just giving me an error, I think. So it's not working. So I'll have to rebuild it, but not that difficult.
Go to IntelliJ terminal. Developer. I will say for those last couple here, I'm hoping to do a quick little crash course on some SQL queries. So if we can push the time in, so you at least know some basic query scripts, so you can create some more fancier, more complex repository functions. So methods, sorry, repository methods. So you can do some interesting searches and queries and selects, including some joins on some more complicated stuff. So definitely something I want to be able to tweak in, because a lot of companies do appreciate SQL knowledge. So, yep, we'll see though. I'm gonna be checking with Arnell to see what the companies are looking for. If they're not gonna ask you anything SQL related, we might just bypass it and take advantage of JPA repositories. So I'm doing that now so we can get through Springboot JPA without needing to teach SQL in the beginning. I'm trying to teach you yet another item and learn SQL. So last time we used just Hibernate and you had to use SQL query alongside it. So We didn't have the JPA repositories. We just had Hibernate. And Hibernate, you have to do SQL queries.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Jim, you're appreciating this.
Yeah.
Like I understand, Cullen voiced it. He voiced it. I'm like, I'm loving these repository things because he had done the SQL stuff before. So he had to learn. He was doing JDBC and Hibernate, and so it was all SQL queries.
Well, I did a lot of SQL stuff myself, but when I was looking at doing my Spring Boot stuff on my scraper and my currency tractor, I was looking at JPA, but I was just not getting it. I was just like, I don't really understand this. I mean, I understand what was written, but I was just like, I don't know how to use it. I'm not, I can copy it, but I don't know how to use it, so I'm not doing it.
Feeling any better now?
What?
Feeling any better about it now?
Oh yeah. Now that you say that you're typing that, yeah, no, I feel a little bit better of it. And it looks so simple when I looked at it before. I'm like, this looks really simple to use. How come I don't?
It is, yeah. I
don't understand it.
I was shocked when I went into it and I learned it when I double checked on it myself just to retouch on it. So I wanted to use it because I like it better than Hibernate. I knew I liked it more, and when I went over it, I'm like, I forgot how easy this thing is. So yeah, and again, it reminded me right, I don't need to do a SQL lesson. This is great. I'm gonna do one right away. I can hold off for a little while on that and let you guys really get Spring Boot and REST API stuff down pat first before we talk anything about SQL stuff. So I was really excited about that.
But if you do want to get into SQL, I would suggest using SQLite because that's very minimal. It's quick and easy.
MySQL is good too, and I have a website that allows me to do it.
SQLite DLL, and you can start working immediately with SQL stuff. It's just really quick and down and quick and easy.
Oh, I have a MySQL fiddle.
Yeah, that one
so
too.
I just use that to teach. Yeah. That way we have a test environment where we can just test certain commands with a constantly refreshed database. So
I have a MySQL on MySQLite on SQLite on my phone. I can write little databases and little queries and just practice on it on my phone.
That's literally just called SQL Fiddle. So if you look up SQL
Fiddle, but I'm saying there's an app that does SQLite, and you can do all your stuff on it. You can write databases and things. But yeah, SQL Fiddle is actually really good too because that's local.
So again, so you stay a little later can see some cool stuff. So SQL Fiddle is come on. This right here where you do the build of your schema, like you build the table, the database is here, and you pre-fill it, and then you can run your SQL commands over here.
Oh.
So like create table, and then you create the rows, and I'm actually gonna do this quick. There we go. So you can just see create table, you create the ID, it's integer, unsigned, not null. Docs, rev, dot content, primary key, default character set. And so this will create it and then it inserts into it multiple items. And then you can see this is select command and other selects.
And then the outputs at the bottom.
Yep, all the outputs get down here when you run it. So you can build the tables and stuff here and insert and run some inserts so you can pre-build the database. And every time you change the SQL command here, it rebuilds this database. So even if you delete stuff and then select, it'll keep doing it. So it's a really great way to kind of introduce SQL and run some SQL commands quick so you can test things and see how they work. So really get to play a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, see you guys Monday.
All right.
Disconnect to this thing and start processing the video.
Okay.
And then remember to upload the repository so we can.
Repository is there. It's
It's
CRC num4 geeky likes.
Okay.
Yep.
Before we jump, I did just have
CH12.
I just did have one quick question before we jump.
No worries.
Do you know anything about the tutoring setup that Arnell has that Freddie and I are in?
I don't know if you saw my response to the star about that. It's just a to be announced.
Oh, okay. Because
yeah,
Arnell wanted me to log my hours that I was tutoring.
Right.
I don't know if
have you
is there
started anything yet on that?
I have a regular
Okay.
student on Thursdays. Do I submit that information at any point? Is there a regular time or place that I deposit my hours somewhere?
Oh, Sergio and Jim, you guys can go for this. You need to hear this part.
oh snap! I thought I had.
It's a good thing I said something before we started going to his site.
Yeah, thank you.
Started doing
See you
his
guys.
after school stuff.
Yeah, bye, Sergio.
See you guys. Thank you.
So, I'm not aware of it because again, that's not my area of expertise kind of stuff.
Sure.
Most likely, I'm expecting you guys to be submitting that to Tiana I'm expecting that because again, Arnell needing to run that kind of stuff would be kind of low level stuff for him, I would think. So most likely it'll be something to Tiana. Next time I think I'm going to be seeing him tomorrow morning because we got some networking stuff to deal with and stuff for the hackathon to deal with first. So I can bring that up to him tomorrow. I got a couple things I got to bring up to him, including the videos in the hackathon, the keynotes from last weekend. And yeah, just some of that stuff. So a couple things I got to talk to anyway. So just send me a reminder in Slack so I don't forget.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to bring that up to him tomorrow when I speak to him.
Okay, cool. Because I don't want to just be holding on to all this, all my tutoring hours and not knowing what to do with it.
Is the channel being used yet or no?
Not yet. No, I didn't know
Okay.
what it was for. It looked like Arnell directed people to it. I didn't know what the visibility on it was, if it was only something that the tutors could see or if it was for people to come for help. I wasn't briefed on what that's about.
My understanding of the channel, I'm thinking eventually is where they can go to find a tutor and say, hey, I would like a tutor. So that's kind of the idea. And again, main key thing there is just make sure that with the students you're meeting with, make sure again, yeah, you want to do a lot of point them in the right direction, then disconnect and connect them again later. You shouldn't be walking them through a lot of it. This is something I used to do a lot in Arnell's when I was a student in Arnell's class. I would go to my classmate, see what they're working on, give them some ideas, and be like, hey, try to see if you can get it to do this, and here's something you want to try. Try using this, and I'll come back because I would have to go check another classmate, and I couldn't spend all day with that one guy because then everyone else would miss out on my help.
Right.
Which, when I say that, it sounds like I'm all high and mighty on myself, like everyone had needed me. It's like,
well, no, that's what I ran into right before Arnell took me on as an actual tutor. I had 4 students hit me up in one day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just happens. I worked with Marcus I think it was Marcus, Marcus for an hour today. And we were working on the department data in JavaScript with objects, and he was really stuck. He didn't know what to do with it. So I did my best to guide him, to have him find out his own answer on what to do with the information. But there were points where I just had to give him a little bit more of a nudge than I wanted to, just because he couldn't do it. He couldn't
Again, the
figure
more
it
you
out.
tutor, the better you'll get at giving those hints without giving the answer. Yep, no worries.
Yeah.
The main thing is just, you just want to try to keep every interaction with the student, hour max, but you want to try to, your goal for every session should be anywhere from like 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
To give them to point them in the right direction, give them that shove, and then let them come back if they end up falling off the path again.
Sure, yeah.
And of course, check in yourself too. Make sure, because you don't want them feeling like that they have to always reach out to you, because then they'll just be like, well, I've already reached out to them twice, I don't want to reach out again. So you always also want to go back and just check and be like, hey, so how you're making out? What did you get done? And have them show you what they did. Because if you just ask, how'd you do? 9 times out of 10, they can be like, oh yeah, I'm fine now, even though they're not. So always ask them to show you what they built. So you can see that, nope, you actually didn't do it. Let's keep going. I'll give you more help. So those are that's the advice I give.
Okay.
Tutoring, because that's what I ended up doing in the class. Like, I didn't have time to spend an hour with a classmate, so I would just help them figure out, understand what they're trying to do, give them an advice, kind of point them, be like, try doing this, try building that. Here's some understandings of it, and then go. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go to help that person. I'll be right back. Check in on you. I go help that person, do the same thing, come back, and sometimes they're great. They're on their having like, no, it's working well. Look, I've gotten this. It's doing this. I'm doing good. I'm like, all right, cool. Keep walking. I'll come back again later. keep at it, and I'll come back later. So
I just realized
that
this is still recording, so you're going to want to trim this before you upload it.